Hi, it's Dr. Yates from Chicago. We're doing SMP, scalp micropigmentation. Some people, for the lack of better words, say we're tattooing the scalp. We're really kind of not, a little bit we are. What we're using is medical grade pigment that we place basically in the epidermis, just in the high dermis. Place a tiny little speck of it to simulate what the hair follicle would look like. It doesn't look like you're growing hair, it just looks like the buzz cut. So you can see here our patient that we've been working on. This is Jim. He's basically a Norwood 5 with an opening here. He has some mid-scalp hair and not much hairline. So we've gone through his whole scalp to give him what we call a buzz cut look. It's never going to look too dark, because if you make it too dark like hair is growing, then it looks like somebody just took a Sharpie and went over your head. So you have to be very careful how you do this. And the way it's done, it's almost just like, inserting grafts. You kind of put tension on the skin and create a natural pattern that the follicles would originate from the scalp. And you want to kind of use strokes that simulate hair. And a lot of hair practices do this now. The reason that it's good is because people can wear their hair short, where with, say, just hair transplants alone, if you wear your hair this short, you won't have the density. So a lot of times we'll do this like this with the SMP to provide the background. Then we'll do FUE on top of this to give this that three-dimensional look, and that works really well. So here we are, and we're not using local anesthesia because the needle's very small, and we're just staying in that outer layer, so there's really no bleeding, because we're right up in that upper dermis with such a tiny, tiny needle. And these inks do not turn purple. People say, well, what's going to happen in 20 years? Will my scalp be purple? No, your scalp won't be purple. They'll say, well, what if I turn gray and I get gray hair? Then your hair will look salt and pepper and you will look very good. That's the answer to that. Jim, is this hurting you?
Not at all.
Jim says it's not hurting him, so we could do this all day. I've had this done to my scars in the back, my FUT scars, because we don't do any more FUT surgery, but we do so much FUE surgery. So when we do the surgery, I just can't stand seeing the FUT scar. I will do the SMP in that scar at the same time we do the surgery. And even people that have had FUE and have large areas in the back that have some of those white dots, we can fill that in as well. So it's kind of a win-win situation here with what we're doing. And we can also be more liberal with hairlines. Like when you do FUE, you have to be, or any hair transplant, you have to be cognizant of supply and demand. You can't put a hairline too low, you can't do this, you can't do that. With SMP, you can kind of bend the rules, make the hairline a little lower. You can kind of change how the architecture is going to be. You can see the hairline on Jim here is down here, which is about 7.5 centimeters from the midpoint here, from the glabella. I can't pronounce anything today. But, and that's a decent hairline. We put natural recession in the hairline because you don't want to come across here and give a square hairline. I don't care what your math dictates. So I think this is a great tool. We'll do this today. We'll see him in 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks we'll see how the ink is settled in his skin. We might have to do a little bit more in one area or not, but you just do not want to do it too dark. People come in and they want it black, so forth and so on, and we don't do the Sharpie look here. We do what's called a buzz cut look. It looks like 5 o'clock shadow. It's just dark enough to see that you're not bald, that you have a hairline. So this is Dr. Yates from Chicago doing SMP. Thank you.